Good afternoon, everyone. So, a faculty member in the audience is standing out there somewhere with an acceptance speech in his or her pocket. Like you, I am completely in the dark as to who it is. But I do know that there are many faculty members who wish that that speech was in their pocket, because winning this award is a very meaningful acknowledgement, as it should be. Because for at least for this year, it means that the students have chosen you as the best of the best. And let's face it, that set of the very best teachers at the GSB is a pretty impressive set. I encourage each of you to take a moment to reflect on the teachers who have had the greatest impact on you in the last year or two. And I also encourage you to reach out to them in the next week or so and express what you're thinking and feeling right now. There is usually only one winner of the award, but many deserving nominees. It is easy to lose perspective on just how high the bar is for great teaching at the GSB. In 1990, I had the experience that has been shared by many faculty who have come from other leading business schools. I had taught at MIT for 7 years and had spent the prior year at HBS. I had gotten strong evaluations and had won teaching awards. I thought I could hang with the best. But then I got my first set of teaching evaluations here at Stanford. And my students said, well, actually, nah, not so much. I realized that if I was going to be in the same percentile for teaching I had been in elsewhere, I would really have to up my game. To be selected today as a distinguished teacher is not just a statement about your stature as a teacher at Stanford, but an absolute statement of the highest order about the quality of your teaching anywhere. It is fitting that the award is accompanied by the Quattrone Teaching Prize, a monetary award that underscores the importance of outstanding teaching at the GSB. But anyone who has the crystal apple in his or her office knows we owe the award as much to the students we have taught as anything else. Like a great jazz ensemble, the band leader can create the setting for great music, but it is the musicians themselves who play it. When our students bring their best to class, when they engage with and challenge one another, when they stretch each other and their professors, the resulting music is indeed sublime. So I congratulate today's winner, whoever he or she is, but I congratulate and thank all the faculty who have challenged, inspired, mentored, coached, delighted, engaged, and embraced their students. And I thank the classes of 2010 and 2011 for being our partners in creating an educational experience whose goal is to enable each of you not just to lead, but also to lead lives of impact and meaning. I want to thank particularly the committee for their hard work. I know how much effort goes into this process, and I look forward to the results of their deliberations. It's now my pleasure to hand the podium over to Casey George, who I just learned is celebrating her birthday today. And not just any birthday, but the big 3-0.
Thanks for that, I think. Dean Saloner, Dean Kumar, faculty members, staff, fellow classmates, family members, and guests, welcome. My name's Casey George, and I'm an MBA too. And with me is the nominating committee, which included MBA 1s Andy Katz-Mayfield and Varun Jain, as well as MBA 2s Lindsay Arnold and Ian Ware. We also had a lot of support from the academic committee, especially Erica Ferfaro and Moody Youssef. So thank you guys both. for all of your hard work. It is our distinct honor today to introduce the 2010 winner of the Stanford Graduate School of Business Distinguished Teaching Award. As most of you know, and as Dean Sloaner already talked about, the Distinguished Teaching Award is one of the most highly respected academic traditions at the GSB. Like many things at the GSB, it is entirely student-driven and provides a unique opportunity for the student body to recognize a member of the GSB faculty who's had a meaningful impact on our business school experience. As part of this process, the nominating committee solicited feedback from fellow students. We received nearly 200 nominations for 43 different professors and lecturers. Many of the nominations highlighted how passionate professors were towards teaching and the extraordinary commitment that they showed towards students. This process reminded us of how fortunate we are to be at a school with so many outstanding professors. While students made compelling arguments for a number of worthy candidates, after much deliberation, one member of the faculty really stood out in particular this year. We are here today to recognize someone who, for many of us, not only helped identify our dreams, but also inspired us to achieve them. So with that, Andy's going to give a little bit more color on our candidate before the great unveiling.
Thanks. The nominations for this professor stood out both in quantity and quality. They were thoughtful, passionate, and funny, all qualities that he exemplifies. Let me pause on funny for a minute. This professor loves to roast his students, and as many who have taken his class can attest, he approaches this task with the same dedication to excellence as he approaches teaching. I'll never forget my moment in the spotlight when I gazed to find up a 10-year-old version of myself in a Halloween-inspired leotard dancing across the projector screen. I still have no idea where he got that picture. There is, of course, a pedagogical justification for his antics. This professor has an uncanny ability to provide much-needed levity just as his students' eyes begin to glaze over, allowing everyone a moment to refocus. He reinvigorates the class in the process, which is especially important given that the subject matter he teaches can gently be described as somewhat dry. Of course, his dedication to teaching manifests itself in several other important ways, many of which we consistently heard during the nomination process. First, he carefully and deliberately designs impactful readings and assignments. Second, he infuses passion into what can potentially be a dry subject area. And third, he is deeply dedicated to his students, both in and outside of the classroom. We'd like to share with you a few of the quotes from the nomination process. First, on designing impactful readings and assignments. One student remarked, "He invests heavily in his course design and strikes the right balance between quantity and quality of work. He has carefully worked to trim down readings from hundreds of pages to just the bare minimum. As a result, I can always do the reading and I actually learn the relevant material." Another noted, "This professor is very thoughtful about what he teaches. The homeworks and take-home exam were thought-provoking exercises that provided a useful educational experience." Next, on infusing passion. One student succinctly remarked, "This professor made me feel passionate about a subject that I never thought I would find interesting in a million years." Another added, "He took what could have been a very dull subject and made it funny, relevant, and fun." And a third agreed, "He demonstrated that accounting and the process of setting accounting standards can be an intellectually challenging and engaging topic. That is extremely hard to do for an audience of people with extensive accounting experience." Finally, on his dedication to his students. One classmate wrote, "He always goes the extra mile for his students, promptly returning emails, holding extra information sessions, even offering to coach anyone through the CPA exams. He is an amazing professor and an amazing person." Another followed, "He put an unearthly amount of passion and energy into his class. He cares deeply about students, not only learning, but applying the course material in their careers. His class transformed my perspective on financial reporting. He represents the best teaching the GSB has to offer and exemplifies the difference a great professor can make." I couldn't have said it better myself. Please join us in honoring a phenomenal professor whose dedication to excellence has managed to make accounting interesting, relevant, and enjoyable. On behalf of the committee and the entire student body, it is with great pleasure that we present the 2010 Distinguished Teaching Award to Alan Jagolinzer. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really nervous. Hey, thank you so much for this. It would be an extreme understatement for me to say that I am actually deeply touched and honored to be selected for this award today. Actually, a great deal of credit is deserved to the GSB administration under both Deans Joss and Saloner, and to Madhav Rajan, the accounting group chairman, for allowing me 6 years ago to come in here and develop a global financial reporting course with the vision that I had for what business leaders need to know about the financial reporting environment. In my opinion, one key indicator for whether you're really affiliated with a world-class educational institution is whether the leadership of that institution actually trusts the professors to develop challenging, innovative, effective, engaging, and interesting curriculum. And I can't say enough how grateful I am to be able to build the course throughout this process. And by having that flexibility, as I'll explain later, it allowed me to get a lot of feedback from the history of students to improve the course as we went along. As I relayed last night to a group of soon-to-be graduates, I took a lot from students, took a lot away from students over the years, particularly that I need to take more risks in life. In fact, last night I shared one risk, which was that I learned to do the man dance, which was one of the highlights of the GSB show. And if that video shows up on YouTube, Tony Luckett and I are going to have a very, very long conversation. But it was a lot of fun. Perhaps the biggest risk I took with regards to teaching was 2 years ago. I decided to teach directly from the financial statements, or the financial reporting standards, rather, as they're issued by the International Accounting Standards Board and the United States Financial Accounting Standards Board. You can imagine that that was met with a little bit of resistance. But it gained a little bit of momentum once I tried to communicate that if you really want to understand an environment that's regulatory in nature, it's better for you to read and derive your own interpretations from the actual source guidance than it is to take other people's interpretations of that. And so I got some buy-in from that, and I think this is particularly true when you're in an environment that is under continual revision, which is the way the financial reporting standards are. Many of my students, not all of them, but many of my students embrace the notion that they need to become activists to enhance the transparency and the faithfulness of the financial reporting system. We've seen recent economic events that indicate that there are still political forces that would like to have financial reporting obfuscate the underlying economic reality behind some firms. It's my hope that all the students here recognize that efficient capital allocation relies in part on a credible financial reporting system, and preserving that system seems worth fighting for. These points were further developed by a fantastic group of guest speakers who graciously donated their time to color their backgrounds, and some discussions about things such as why firms fraudulently manipulate financial reports, challenges facing the development of global financial reporting standards, challenges firms face in complying with these standards, and how and when to develop a financial reporting infrastructure at early stage ventures. These include Vince Kaminsky and Jim Schweiger, formerly from Enron, Sam Antar, the former CFO of Crazy Eddie and a convicted securities fraud felon, Mary Barth, former member of the International Accounting Standards Board, David Mosher from Biz Management Solutions, Kathy Lego, who's the audit committee chair for at least two prominently publicly traded high-tech firms in the local area, Greg Rogers, CPA and attorney from Advanced Environmental Dimensions, who is a true expert in environmental and contingent liability reporting, and Jim Neeson and Jeff Pickett from the Connor Group, who are experts in early-stage financial reporting infrastructure. I'm very grateful for the insight these speakers brought to the classroom. I have to thank my students, I can't say this enough, for entering the classroom with a sense of humor and an open mind. Collectively, we embraced Ashley Simpson sporadic visits from a cheerleader Barbie doll, a screaming rubber chicken, and Tyson Knight coming in a turkey costume, courtesy of Jessica Gonzalez, who paid way, way, way too much at the white party auction. I have to thank several former students, and this is not an inclusive list, who played an incredible role in helping me refine the course over 6 years. This goes back to my initial point. I had flexibility to build the courses I wanted to, and I got continual deep feedback from prior students to refine the courses I went along. This would include, but not limited to, Maren Edock, Natalie Kim, Teresa Lee, Billy Butcher, Ross Davison, Andy Fishman, Ann Barry. More recently, Brad Hively and Thomas Rigo, who independently met with me on several occasions to provide input on the course content. Paul Hackwell, who spent some time actually going through major revisions that I did to the course reader. Jess Wolf, who provided me a lot of feedback throughout the course, and perhaps most profoundly, at about 8 hours of her 20-hour effort on the final, emailed me, quote, "She was trying to suppress the urge to decrease my heating bill by burning everything accounting related." So I took that feedback to heart. In an effort to save Pacific Gas and Electric, I shortened the exam this year. And I also did receive a lot of feedback from our dearly missed Rowan Desai, who met with me on several occasions to provide input on course content, topic coverage, and in-class dynamics. And I'm forever grateful for this group. And there were many, many others. I took feedback very, very much to heart, and I really appreciate that. I'd like to thank my wife, Connie, my daughters, Megan and Taylor, and my son, Ryan, for allowing time, sharing time this winter with me so that I could devote more energy into the classroom environment. And one of the challenges of this profession that I want to close with is that it's extremely difficult to tell whether and if you've actually had an impact on how students view the world. This is particularly true since our explicit contracts run typically 180 minutes per week times 10 weeks, and then it's over. And it actually wasn't until my father passed away 2 years ago at his funeral, which followed 35 years of service as an accounting professor and a 10-year battle with cancer and kidney disease, that my family actually learned what kind of an impact he had on his students. Many of his students narrated to us stories of his influence on them, and it was a shame that it took at that point for him to learn about that impact. I feel extremely fortunate for this reason to be here today, to learn that I actually shaped in a small way how my students think about the world before they step back into it to achieve their goals. I'm actually very touched by this recognition. I thank you for taking the time today and step away from all your sell orders in the market today to share this moment with me. It truly is an honor, and I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.